chosen in this relevant times. And a very good evening to all the panelists and the people who have joined us. I hope I should be able to add some value to that. Uh, See, on the surface, universities are a great idea. You go pick up a subject, learn from experts, and around 40% of the total people who go to universities in developing and developed countries. It means making big financial and personal sacrifices. As we see, a lot of students are, on loans. They take higher education on loan, and even my daughter, who's studying now, she's taken a loan for her higher studies. Now, it doesn't really mean that it's a good thing to do. In fact, there is a cost in terms of employment, in terms of prospects of not having a college degree, and there are not always clear competitive advantages in having one, particularly if almost half of the population has some skill. So, a university degree may have some fond memories of your years in college, but I suspect that does a college degree really gives a first-hand experience, or like the kind of challenges which the graduates face when they enter the labor market, and the frustrations of the employees which they have to face them, like finding the right people, managing them, their expectations, and developing their skills. So, till another alternative is emerged in this scenario, I think there is right now no clear path to disrupt the higher education. And there are some pain points which are beyond, I mean, which can't be just confronted just simply. So until we find a viable alternative which might emerge in future, we see, in fact, I see six reasons that make the case demanding, which is like a little different. Now, the first point that I want to make is that employers need skills and not just knowledge or titles. So the graduate postgraduates which move out of college, they are not skill ready, which is required by the industry at the moment. So this is like I have been into education industry for almost 15 years. I was working in a university and saw quite a lot of these things because I don't know. I don't know whom to blame, whether it is the curriculum pedagogy or the child's attitude. I don't know which factor is there, but the skills which are required by the industry are not taught at that level. Maybe the new NEP might take care of some of those aspects. The second point which I want to make here again is that students want jobs and not just the knowledge or the titles. Like Dr. Just before this, the speaker just before me had mentioned that for uh, beyond post, I guess, there were PhDs which were there. So everyone wants jobs, not the knowledge or the title. Even PhD is applying for that post. So it clearly shows how desperate people are to get jobs, And if they don't have the skills, then the employers are not able to, take them. The third point I want to make here is that students are paying more and more to get less and less. We see private universities thriving all across with glamorized curriculum and new set of subjects and courses all across. And there was a study recently, just 2 months back, I think, by India Today, where they asked the students that if they are pursuing a particular course, how much do they know about the job role after doing that course? And let me share it here that only 3% of the students were actually aware of the kind of job roles they were expected to do after, undergoing that course. So this is something which, we as, academicians really need to look into, that students are paying for lesson is a person just goes and undertakes a subject because his peer group is saying you have to take these subjects, or there's a parent pressure, or just because a child has the interest in it. He may or may not have the potential or the capability to undertake that course. And then moreover, he's not even aware of what kind of job roles he'll be undertaking in future. So that's a gap which is always there. The fourth point that I want to make here is that students generally have unrealistic expectations about college. Like the speaker before mentioned, that they can clear the exam by just studying overnight and get the minimum percentage of marks to clear that course. So, basically, those I don't know whom to. I would not say blame, but how much is the university or how much is the student responsible for those unrealistic expectations? Because colleges, private colleges, I've seen they advertise their courses in a very glamorized way, and the students and parents, everyone gets attracted to it. But how much value addition they're actually doing to that person is something which we need to look into. The fifth point that I want to make here is that many universities prioritize research, often at the expense of teaching. And in this case, the faculties generally give the teaching part to their teaching assistants. So I don't know how valuable that kind of addition would be to course or those students. So universities also need to look into that, who could be the researchers or who could be the teachers in that kind of roles. So this is the fifth point that I wanted to make. And my last point is that I feel universities reinforce inequality in the sense that in many of the universities which are high paid courses they are giving, so students already have a basic kind of a mental setup. uh, I mean, that is like it's a challenge for this. It's a kind of a dynamic thing here. The vetting process by the mainstream journals, blind review process by independent experts, it's an effective way to advancing science. But in an age of distributed knowledge and open source information, there is a clear benefit to democratizing science-based insights to those who actually fund it. And research, I know it's an engine for growth and innovation, but then how much it is valuable for the students who are, undergoing that kind of training. And then the value which is added of a university degree is inversely related to the student's socioeconomic status, as most of the college graduates would have enjoyed high levels of career success anyway because of their initial wealth, privilege, and contacts. And I've seen a lot of students who undertake a course do not actually do a job which is related to their field. They're doing something else, or they have just joined their family business. So the recent admissions in college is ironic if we see to it. I mean, at the same time, like the universities tend to increase rather than decrease the inequality. And there are reports which have been showing that rich people are not just more likely to buy a more, expensive education, but also to marry equally rich and educated people, which in turn will produce more affluent and privileged offsprings. So there's a book by Anthony and Jack, and he noted in this book that even when elite universities focus on enrolling minorities, they tend to prioritize what he calls as the privileged poor, such as the black or the Hispanic people from the higher socioeconomic status. So the fundamental question we see is this, that if a university claims to be a top educational institution, shouldn't it admit the people with the lowest test scores and then turn them into a leader of tomorrow? I mean, as opposed to admitting the people with highest income and highest scores, and who would probably rule the world tomorrow, regardless of those 3 or 4 years of college. So, to conclude, I would just say that there is so much we need to rethink about the current model of higher education. Tomorrow belongs to the companies and individuals who are approaching education in parallel with work, with continuous loops in learning. So, success and future won't be defined by a degree, but by the potential and the ability to learn, apply, and adapt. Thank you so much.